So a couple months ago, there was a brand new release by the House of Zaharoff. It was Zaharoff Seraphim Blue. You guys know I did my first impression full review. Great blue minty fragrance, very, very nice, has a green edge to it. And right before that, there was a release, and it kind of got overshadowed by the Seraphim Blue. And I tried it out, did my first impression, loved the fragrance, got a bottle, and I was coming back to do my full review a few weeks back. And I got my Seraphim Blue in. Well, that was Signature Bloom, by the way. And I got my Seraphim Blue in, as well as this card that has all of the Zaharoff fragrances. And I never look at it. I always just stick it in my drawer over there. I have like 10 of them. And I just decided to look at it because I knew that the Seraphim Red was coming out. And while the notes were on there, Seraphim Red, everything was there. I just decided to go through and I was like, yeah, I have that one. Not a big fan of that one. I have that one. I like that one. I might pick it up. What is this? And then I saw it, and it's Signature Noir. I've been around the Zaharoff community a long time, like 4 years or so. So not like crazy amount of time, but enough in the fragrance community to know. I've never heard of that fragrance from anybody. Nobody's talked about it. And so I was like, what the heck is this? And so I went and got a bottle. And I've worn the Bloom a handful of times through my 10 milliliter decant. And I wore this about 3 times, 4 times. So I decided to do a dual full review of Zaharoff Signature Bloom and Zaharoff Signature Noir. So that's what we're talking about today. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude, back with another video where I'm going to be talking about some fragrances, doing some whiffing and sniffing, all of that good stuff. Before we get into it, if you like my content and you're not already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, hit that like on your way and takes 2 seconds. Comment below. Let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances and if you think I'm crazy that I've never even heard of the Signature Noir until I got a bottle like recently. I don't know how the heck I skipped it up, but also shout out to George Zaharoff, one of the best guys in the fragrance community. Really, really nice, very active in the fragrance community, and yeah, shout out to him. With that said, there's another fragrance by the house, Seraphim Red, as well as the Privé line, all upcoming within the next few months. I'm very, very interested because Seraphim Red is supposed to be different from the blue. It's supposed to be pink pepper heavy, which I love pink pepper, so very excited about that fragrance. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are doing my dual review of Zaharoff Signature Bloom, which I just ran through my 10 milliliter decant, and then also Signature Noir, which I have now worn a handful of times. Again, knew nothing about it. With that said, I skipped Signature Bloom originally. It came out like 6 months ago. And I skipped it originally because I heard it was overly white floral. I don't like white florals. There's only one fragrance that I've liked that has white florals, that is dominant white florals, and that is Soleil Neige. And I was like, there's no way this fragrance could even be in that realm. So I ended up just getting a decant. So again, I had like a 10 milliliter, 8 milliliter decant, and I sprayed it. And I was like, holy shit, that does smell like Soleil Neige, which is Tom Ford. It's kind of like that creamy, almost like coconutty jasmine, like sunscreen. I was like, it smells in that realm. I was like, who would have freaking thought? So I ended up getting that in. And so this is it. This is Signature Bloom. I wish it had one of those placards because this is one of my favorite in the line. And you best believe I'll be wearing through this stuff. But I wanted to have the bigger one, and they didn't have it at that point in time. I don't even know if they still do. But with that said, I'm going to give you a note breakdown since I don't do that in my original video. The top notes are gardenia and florage, coconut and star jasmine. Heart notes are gold amber, jasmine sambac, jasmine Egypt, orange blossom, red peony. And base notes are sandalwood, sustainable vanilla bourbon, oud, sugarcane, white jasmine, sustainable lang lang, myrrh, and olibanum tears. So a lot of jasmine. I think there was like 4 types of jasmine, maybe 3, 4, and just a lot of really freaking good stuff. I mean, Gardenia en Fleurage, what the heck is that? I mean, I know it's some kind of floral, but it's a lot of floral. So I wouldn't have thought that I would like this fragrance. But the one thing that really struck my eye when I saw that was the golden amber, because I like that lighter amber that has some richness to it mixed together with jasmine. Jasmine's one of my favorite. That and orange blossom are two of my favorite white florals, as long as they're blended in nicely. But jasmine, again, Soleil Neige, as long as it's mixed together with that amber or coconut or whatever it might be, it actually does turn into this kind of like high quality sunscreen. And I love those style fragrances. So when you first spray this on, I'm going to spray it on right now just because I feel like it. When you first spray it on, it does lean a touch feminine, for sure. This fragrance leans a touch feminine until you get to the dry down where it does become strictly unisex. But the opening, because of that Gardenia en Fleurage, as well as a bunch of jasmine. Obviously, it's jasmine heavy. You get all of that front and center right in the opening. There's hardly any of that amber. There's hardly any of that like vanillic tone or anything that I was really hoping would be in this fragrance in the opening, but it still does smell like what Soleil Neige did. Soleil Neige starts out more leaning feminine with that white floral, and then it starts to get creamy after about 5 minutes. This does the same thing. Well, this one, it still sticks to that jasmine a little bit stronger than what you get with the Soleil Neige, which becomes very creamy and very ambery very quickly. This one, that jasmine sticks there for hours and hours, and this is a jasmine dominant fragrance. So if there was one of the two that was leaning a little bit more feminine, it would be this. But my wife loves this, so I'm happy with that. As long as she loves it, I'm happy. And this fragrance, as you start to get about 10 to 15 minutes into the fragrance, that is where that golden amber starts to pull in. You get a slight bit of coconut. Coconut is not super noticeable in this fragrance. It just adds a nice kind of earthy coconutiness. Coconutiness. You know what coconut smells like. It has like a slight earthy coconut. Some coconuts come off a little sweeter. This one has a little bit of the sweetness, but a little bit of earthiness as well. Mix that together with the jasmine, and then you get this golden amber, which becomes more of an undertone nuance. It does turn into a slight vanillic tone mixed together with that amber and the jasmine, and it comes off more like, again, a high quality sunscreen that is perfect for the heat. It also works very well in the cooler weather, like 50, 60 degrees. It's great for that. I haven't tested it out in the like cool weather, like the winter or anything like that yet. And so I will have to do that eventually, but I can tell you, this fragrance, out of all of the ones in the line, this one for me is one of the best. It could be top 2 for me. And I know for a lot of people, they said it was leaning feminine. I don't care. Signature Bloom really is probably my second, maybe third favorite floral fragrance of all time. I absolutely love it. But I'm also a sucker for that type of mixture. It has to be a specific mixture, and this mixture with that vanillic ambery tone mixed together with the white floral, specifically jasmine. Then you mix those two together and add a touch of coconut, and it turns into that high quality floral sunscreen that I actually do like with floral fragrances. And so while I don't wear floral fragrances every day, this is definitely a situational wear for me. It's definitely more of like a higher class. It makes you feel like luxurious. So if you want to have one of those like luxurious days on the beach, I don't know what that is, but it's what it feels like. It's a nice boardwalk fragrance. It definitely is something if you're, let's say, out to like a really nice dinner, but it's like hot outside or something. It's a perfect fragrance for that. If you're on a cruise ship and you're going to like one of the chef meals or something like that, perfect example for that too. So it is slightly situational, just like Soleil Neige is, but it's very, very beautiful, just with a heavier jasmine tone. So I compare those fragrances a lot because they are 75% similar. They do that amber, they do that vanillic tone, they do that slight woody, creamy tone. On top of it, they have the jasmine. This one has a little bit of the coconut, while that one has a little bit more of that ambery tone. And then this one has a little bit more jasmine. It lasts about 8 hours, and it does go a little bit more than that, but after about 2 hours of being above average projection, it does sit closer to your skin like a personal bubble for another 3, and then it's a skin scent for the final 2 or 3 hours. But that is Zaharoff's Signature Bloom. I think you guys should definitely give it a shot if you can. Yeah, very, very, very beautiful fragrance. Again, amber, jasmine, floral for sure, but more of like a high quality, luxurious sunscreen. Very, very nice. Now moving into this hidden gem. This is Zaharoff Signature Noir. And so I got this in a few weeks ago. I've worn it about 4 or 5 times now. And this is apparently, so what I've talked with a bunch of people, this is apparently one of the 2 original fragrances on the Signature line. There was Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme and Zaharoff Signature Noir. It was kind of like light versus dark. That was kind of the way that they were releasing it. At least, George, if you come, I know you watch a lot of my videos when they have to do with your fragrances. So if I'm right about that, you were releasing like one that was more like the nighttime mysterious one with a Signature Noir, and the other one was kind of like your daytime work scent, kind of like light versus dark. That's the way that I'm looking at it, because when you spray this one on, Signature Noir, if you've smelled, and I have the bottle, I should have brought it out, the Helfeti Black Rose that they released. The opening of this reminds me of Helfeti Black Rose without the rose. So if you took that kind of like bergamot basil mixture, it has that green herbaceous tone, but on top of it, it has that nice bergamot that you get in Helfeti Black Rose, and then underneath it you get a little bit of a darker smoky nuance. I don't know why I just said it like that, nuance, but yeah, it has a nice little smoky nuance underneath it, and then it has that semi-signature Pour Homme DNA, which is kind of like that soapy, gentlemanly quality. And that is definitely underneath it. So this opening, it reminds me of the opening of Helfeti Black Rose minus the rose. That's just what it reminds me of, because it still has that darkness, a little bit of a richness to it. Well, this one is not as rich as Helfeti Black Rose, and once you get to the dry down, that comparison kind of stops, because when you get to the dry down of this, you do get a little bit of that oud. It is definitely a natural oud. It comes in, it's not overpowering, fecal or animalic, just a nice darker woody tone mixed together with that frankincense. If the frankincense comes in, it's very, very beautiful, gives you a nice smoke, but also not too dense of a smokiness. It's a nice blend of smoke. With that said, I didn't give you the note breakdown. I kept showing it to you, but I didn't give it to you. But the note breakdown, top notes are basil, coriander, pink pepper, mandarin, and bergamot. Heart notes are ginger roots, blonde cedar, anise, cypress, freesia, fir balsam. And the base notes are sandalwood, tonka bean, frankincense, oud, and myrrh. So you hear that dry down and you hear frankincense, oud, myrrh. You also have some cedar in there. I mean, that's all darker, woody, smoky, resins. That's what this fragrance is. It really is. It has that signature Pour Homme DNA that's underneath, giving it that kind of like semi-soapy nuance. Even that ginger adds it into there. You get some creamy tones coming in, a little bit of sweetness blending together. And I can say the opening of this fragrance is miles different than the dry down. Again, the opening has that nice green herbaceous tone. You have that bergamot on top, a little bit of a spice underneath from the coriander. But as you get to the dry down, it is different. You get a sweetness, you get a spiciness, you get some smoke, you get a woody tone. It's darker, slightly musky. It's just, I didn't spray it on. That was my signature bloom. I'm going to spray this one on, just so I can get a feeling of that opening again. Yeah, it's very clean. I feel like this is a fragrance that if you underspray it, because of that opening, I think that you could wear this to work easily. I mean, I know some people are going to say, you really think you could wear that to work with the dry down, the smoky woodies? Well, the smoky woody tones? Yeah, I do. I think you can. Just like Helfeti Black Rose, I think it might be more of a night out fragrance, but if you underspray that stuff, maybe 1 to 2 sprays, you could easily get away with people smelling you, but it not being overpowering, and it still has that kind of fresh and clean, gentlemanly vibe underneath it. But I mean, make no mistake, this one is made more for if you're going out, if you're dressing up. That's what this is for. If you want to be wearing a leather jacket or something like that, this is that. It is the darker, gentlemanly leather jacket version of the Pour Homme. It's just that it's the dark side of it. So it's beautiful. I was really not expecting it. It kind of is reminds me, this is the way that I said it when I first got it in. It smells to me almost if you took the style of fragrance that Sauvage Elixir is and you smashed it together with the Zaharoff DNA, that Pour Homme DNA. If you kind of just smash the two together. Again, with that opening of the Halfeti Black Rose minus the rose. So if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend at least getting a decant. It's going to be a Zaharoff. So if you're not a big fan of that Zaharoff style DNA, you're still probably not going to like this. It does still have that Zaharoff Pour Homme style DNA. It smells like that in the base. But again, more smoky, woody. I really, really like this fragrance. So I would give the Zaharoff Signature Bloom a 9, and I would give the Noir an 8.5. I think both of them are great fragrances. They're both probably in my top 5 Zaharoffs. But I wanted to get this video out before I did my top 10 Zaharoffs of all time. I told you I was doing it before Seraphim Blue, and then once Seraphim Red comes out, then I'm doing my top 10 Zaharoffs. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Oh, Signature Noir is also around 8 to 9 hours. It does project very well, but again, undersprayed if you want to wear it to work or something like that. But it's an all-season fragrance. Signature Bloom is more for the warmer months. But again, you can wear it in the cool weather. I just haven't tested it out yet. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another one. Peace out.